Ever since the advent of gaming, game developers have attempted to add a sense of realism. One way developers incorporated this was developing peripherals for certain types of games. Racing and shooting games were some of the earliest to receive such instruments. Nintendo released the NES Zapper, a form of light gun, in 1985. While actually pointing and shooting at the screen, the Zapper gave gamers a greater sense of realism than using a joystick or gamepad. Racing games using real foot pedals and steering wheels were developed even earlier. In 1974, Grand Track 10 was the first racing game to feature these controls. While racing controls have gotten much tighter and realistic in modern video games, they still lack user output. Gamers want to feel they are part of the game instead of just controlling it. This is where immersive virtual gaming comes into play. Immersive virtual reality video games are very distinguished from both past and current video games we see today. We are finally breaking away from the traditional use of using a handheld controller while sitting idly on the couch. Immersive virtual reality gaming incorporates the use of the entire body as a controller. As you can see in the videos, we're beginning to see how technology is allowing us to be more immersed in the games, creating a greater sense of realism. In the video on the left, we see a seat designed to recreate the same motions a real person would feel if they were actually in the driver's seat. In the video on the right, we see a man using a head tracking device built into a toy gun, allowing for realistic movement and aiming. This type of immersive gaming is what we will be seeing in the near future. The video game industry must continually evolve to maintain life. In this evolution, they must focus on 5 key forces that lead to the attainment of competitive advantage: threat of new entrants, rivalry among existing competitors, threat of substitute products and services, the bargaining power of customers, and the bargaining power of suppliers. Each company must recognize that without continually advancing technology, they will eventually die off. One of the newer things that have entered the market for consumers is immersive virtual gaming. We stood alone in this market for only a short amount of time before Xbox entered. Now the competition is heating up while new companies develop ideas and ways to interact so that the video game world becomes more enjoyable, hands-on, and immersive, thus leading to more sales, revenue, and rivalries. A current business use that can come out of immersive virtual gaming is innovation. Google has already taken this idea to the extreme, and others are slowly starting to partake in it as well. Having lounge areas available for employees to jump into another world can lead to higher levels of creativity, stress relief, and overall relationship building with coworkers and teams. Eventually, immersive virtual gaming could be developed for virtual workplaces, such as the use of Second Life in an organization. This development would lead to more personal experience with your avatar as well as the ones that you interact with. Relationships and trust levels could be built from things such as simple as real handshakes, which surpass what is possible when using only a keyboard and mouse. Also, sign language for those who are deaf would be simple for an avatar to do versus having to type out everything that you would like to say. Nonverbal communication is key in meetings and negotiations, so if this is developed, the future could hold a virtual world that encompasses reality far beyond what is currently being used. Perhaps the biggest market for virtual reality is virtual gaming, but immersive virtual reality is being taken to new levels through technology in many different business fields. Virtual reality can be used during military training as a way to train a soldier without any actual chance of physical harm. Through computer simulations, soldiers can use exact replicas of what would be used in war. They can practice commands and strategies in chaotic situations, driving military vehicles, piloting military aircraft, and generally being in hostile environments. Using this type of training heightens soldiers' awareness in the field as well as experience. According to the Washington Post article, virtual reality prepares soldiers for real war. This is the video game generation of soldiers, and using this type of training is natural and necessary. The article makes it clear that war is not thought of as a game, but that these simulations have changed the way we will train for war. Virtual reality for military purposes can also shed light on soldiers who may not be completely ready to pull the trigger. Of course, war and gaming can have different effects on different people. One soldier from the article refuses to play or watch anything violent ever again as a result from his time in Iraq. Drawbacks to virtual reality as a way of training would be being able to differentiate between what is real and what is a game or training. Virtual reality can be used in the psychological field as well as a way of reliving or overcoming traumatic events such as PTSD. Below is a video as an example from the Fox Network show Lie to Me. A soldier is suffering from PTSD and relives his time in Iraq through virtual reality simulation.
No, let's just do this. Okay? So we're gonna take some incoming.
Wait. Incoming right here. RPG 11 o'clock, Army! Alright, they set my engine block on fire. And Jefferson's up on top. And we're taking major heat. Alright, we're gonna lose Jefferson in a second here. God, I'm taking major fire. Jefferson goes down. Jefferson's down. Jefferson's down. He's pounding on my window. He's yelling at me. He's gonna haul my ass out of here.
Who is?
The cost of these new immersive virtual gaming products are no doubt expensive. The cost can run anywhere from $100,000 to well into the millions, depending on what model or manufacturer you want. So it will likely be years from now when these products will be available to the masses, before these products will be available to the masses, and not just the ultra wealthy. These types of virtual gaming systems will more likely be adopted by big corporations and the government to simulate lifelike situations for government and military training. Companies like Lockheed Martin use immersive virtual gaming for training in all military aspects. With this type of training, it recreates 3D training environments where multiple students can experience and learn in highly interactive situations without the threat of real wartime missions. The ISM ground application puts soldiers into urban warfare situations such as the war we are fighting in now in Iraq, allowing them to become comfortable with the environment they will soon be in. Aeronautical schools use this type of virtual gaming to simulate all aspects of flying before they ever get into the cockpit of a real plane. It can put pilots into high-pressure systems and situations like having to do a crash landing. This teaches the pilots to be more comfortable with situations that usually don't occur, but they need to be prepared for. One of the main problems with these types of games is users becoming addicted. People begin ignoring real life and spend all their spare time in these virtual realities. People spend hours on end playing these games and begin neglecting real life obligations such as work, school, and even regular interaction with their friends. What we need to realize as virtual reality gets more refined, it will be harder and harder to differentiate between virtual reality and the real world. It is important that we keep the separation and don't end up neglecting the real world for a virtual world.